Alright, so you can see this text input, this component, we can reuse it many times. Now we're using it for name, later we can use it for email and then password, and also we can use it on a different screen, sign-in screen, right? So let me just put it separate, sign up. Alright, so what we can do is we can obviously put it in a separate component. So let's create, actually we already have the components folder. So inside, let's create another folder called auth. So here we can put authentication related components, for example, the input, right? So let's call it user input.js. And basically we can actually copy this code. Copy this code, put here, and then we're going to delete this one and just import that one and use here. Okay, so go to user input, paste that code here, and first let's change the name to user input user input. Next, we don't need this heading, so let's remove that. Then we also don't need this wrapper view because we're going to import this one and use here. So let's remove that as well. Perfect. Now we also need to make sure that we pass these props. Okay, so this has to be dynamic. It can be used for name, email, password, all that. So we make it dynamic later, but at the moment it looks good. This component is here. Now let's go to sign up. Now we don't need this. It has been moved, so let's remove that and instead import that. So import user input from. So we go one step up, go to components, auth, user input, and then we put that here, user input. Perfect, we got that name. Now we want to use this for email and password as well. All right, so we got that. So what we want to do is we want to pass the props dynamically, right? So let's pass name and we give the different value. Okay, so for the first one, name, and next one, email, and then next one, password. Okay, so now you can see here we're using the same component, but we're just passing the different props by the name, right? So we can access these props here. So we get props, and then instead of hard coding name, we can use props.name. Now you can see name, email, and password. Beautiful. Now you can instead of accessing the properties like that, you can directly destruct a name. So you can directly do that, so it's nice and easy. You don't have to keep doing props dots. All right, so that's perfect. So that's looking good, but they don't do anything at the moment. You can do a type here because we haven't used the on-chains. Like if you're familiar with React for the web development, we use on-chains, right? So on-chains, we grab that value, put in the state, and set that value back to this component so that we get the user input and we bind the value with the state. All right, now with React Native it's quite similar but not exactly on chains. Instead what we have here is on text chains. All right, so in React for the web you would use on chains, but here on React Native on text chains. So on text chains you get the value and you can console log just to give it a just to understand what's going on, right? Now in the web you would get the event, so you would access the value by event.target.value. That's how you would get that. However, with React Native it's a little bit different. You get the text itself, whatever has been typed, and you have access to that. So let's give it a try. So we got the console here. So if you try, something. Let's try Ryan. Actually, that's nothing's happening here. Okay, so I can't type for some reason. So if you have the same issue, you can go to device input, the keyboard, connect hardware keyboard. Okay, so you can do that. That way you will be able to type. Now let me try again. It works a little differently. You can see previously we didn't get that, now we get, and we can just try like that as well. So this is helpful. Sometimes you can see here. Now if we have a submit button, that will be hidden behind the keyboard, and that's a problem as well. So we have to make this scrollable view so user can scroll and hit the button, but we'll come back to that later. At the moment, so far so good, we have that one. Now instead of this inbuilt keyboard, which is very hard to type here, I'm just going back to the previous one, connect hardware keyboard. Okay, so we got that, and we may have, actually we don't see that in the console, but that's all right. We'll take that later, but for the moment it's all looking good. So what you want to do here is on text change, you want to set the state. So grab that value and put in the state, right? Actually, I want to show you how this works. Why it's not working? Okay, my bad. It's not working because it should be on change text, not text change. So on change, actually it's so far it's same as web, but then you add text on change text. Okay, so let's try. Right, now you can see we get that value. Perfect.